Where on earth? And here is Sugar Club. It certainly appears very understated out of season, doesn't it? I can assure you, in the summer season, this place is well lit up. The music's pounding and small queues are forming to go in. They have the benefit of an indoor dance floor and bar area plus an outdoor space just around the corner here. It does come with a benefit in the summertime. If we happen to have a 30-degree heat wave, then you probably want to spend your evening out on that deck with a cool cocktail rather than being in the sweaty dance floor area for too long. Shake your groove thang or something like that on the dance floor, work up a sweat, then cool off by popping out onto the terrace bar and enjoying the summer night air, still hear the music and have a wonderful time. That is a club which you find slightly more expensive to go in. It attracts a slightly dress code conscious crowd, shall I say. If you like to dress up and like to be in a discotheque or bar environment where people aren't wearing ordinary clothes, lots of people in there, I'm sure, taking selfies and showing off their brand name label handbags and footwear. Here is another nice little park area, as I mentioned. I'm heading down here to highlight the third option for cheap accommodation, or affordable accommodation I should call it, because cheap can have a different connotation, can't it? Not cheap in quality, but affordable in price. I have to pause just for a moment to highlight the fact that it appears that Spider-Man has found himself a superhero's motorbike. Africa Twin. Nice. I'm standing outside another popular bar in Parnu. Boom Boom. Or Bum Bum, depending on how you want to pronounce it. There is a very nice piece of artwork, isn't it? And to my surprise, it looks as though the summer terrace is getting an early workout. No patrons for lunchtime, but obviously there were some people there earlier. Now, around this corner where there's been some work going on, footpaths out of order, but at least we can make our way down here and see if the famous cow is going to be here. They used to have a famous model of a cow just in the doorway, but no, he's out to graze somewhere. Here's that third hostel option, which I haven't forgotten about. Oh my goodness, what's he doing with the camera, the idiot? He's lost his mind. This one is Launa Hostel, and it's actually a building which is owned by the St. Elizabeth Church. That church we saw getting a new coat of paint in the old town earlier. It's an interesting place. You can pay a little extra for a breakfast downstairs in the dining room if you wish to. Otherwise, make your own food in the hostel kitchen, one floor up from the ground floor, right next to a large common room, dining room area where there's a TV. And it caters very much for both backpackers with several dormitories, single beds, not double bunks, and also private rooms. Lots of Estonian people will come here depending on the season and depending on the weather, the place could be absolutely chock-a-block on a fine summer's weekend with lots of festivals going on in the town. Or you might find, oh, the prices have really dropped and it's an absolute steal to stay here just after or just before the summer. Interestingly, also on the ground floor, you can get your hair done if you have hair, because there's a separate little hair salon operating in the building as a separate business, and also a massage parlour. You can have a genuine massage of the real it's a massage only variety. You English stag guys. In this case, massage is definitely not a euphemism for anything else. Another advantage of the hostel, it's opposite this great big signpost, which is pointing arrows in the direction of all sorts of things. There's a big notice board, which is something new as well since the last time I stayed here years ago. Beautiful park again, and it appears as though under renovation at the moment. They've kept the basketball court, but under renovation is the skateboard area, which I was going to point out as a bit of a highlight if you're a skateboarder yourself. Not only can you enjoy some starkly contrasting architecture right here, but yeah, now what do I do? That's kind of killed the moment. And over here is an exceptional facility for young locals and any visitors who happen to be travelling with their skateboards. It's a super place where international competitions actually take place. It's a fine facility in central Parnu, a great place for young people to work off their energy. And yeah, you've got to forget about that, haven't you now? No good about thinking that up this morning, trying to remember it, because it's turned into a building site. But it could be, on the positive side, it could be that they're going to be making it into an even better skateboard park when the work's complete. That's going to be fantastic to see what happens come 2024, 2025. Hopefully it gets finished before then, actually, but we'll see. The proximity here of the hostel, right on the doorstep of another spot which is gorgeous for a casual walk around, and it's also very, very handy for things going on. Again, I have to say, mostly because the festivals go on in the summer and the outdoor concerts, of course, go on in the summer. Most of the attractions will be in the summertime, but you can still enjoy it in the autumn and the spring. Just absolutely lovely walking around here. What they have going on when it's festival season are all kinds of things. Festivals that you couldn't imagine there'd be a festival of if you weren't from around these parts. Things such as a horticultural festival, I suppose you'd call it, where local people bring in their plants and shrubs and show them off and also make them available for sale. That festival has taken up an area of this large parkland when I've been here in the past. There's also been a wood sculpting festival, which has lasted a week, and as the weeks progressed, more and more people with the skill of shaping fallen trees and large logs have shown up at various points around the park. It all culminates with, by the end of the week, here are the final examples of all the wood sculpture that's taken place. You catch that at the beginning of the week, it's a little quiet. But if you just happen to catch it at the weekend where it's all coming to a head, you'll find some fantastic weird shaped wood sculptures, ornate looking benches, fascinating looking characters from Estonian folklore, a whole raft of variety in wood sculpture. And things like this are just all free to walk in, around and look and smell, learn from. They're great sort of festivals, I would say, in their own right. Low-key festivals, but you can gain a great deal from them. Now here is spoilt for choice for which way you might want to walk. What I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to walk around this way. I'm so spoiled for choice I can't make up my mind. I think I roughly know where I'm going, ish. But that's the thing, when you think you've been to a town several times years ago, thoroughly enjoyed it, go back, oh yeah, it'll be fine. I'll be able to point out fabulous points of interest, and I'll be able to give a bit of a backstory to some of them. Then you get there and, oh, it's turned into a building site. Or, oh, how do I actually maneuver effectively and manage my time appropriately to get around the town before the sun goes down? Oh, this is nice, isn't it? Again, it's like being allowed in to see a scale model you might only expect to see in a museum, but it's free and it's outdoors, open air. Here in Karu Park. Karu Park. So there's the handsome gate. We see the Tallinn gate, the water gate leading there, and St. Elizabeth's Church over here. And something's gone a bit wrong with St. Catherine's Church up there, I think. And some other buildings I don't know the names of course. The Red Tower, that must be the Red Tower. Where's the little train gone to? They haven't bothered putting the little train. But the bus station's roughly here. We've made our way sort of south and sort of west. We're now west of where we started at the bus station. I will be coming back here a little bit later. But first of all, I want to walk through here and point out another one of the things you really might not expect to see if you're coming to Parnu. And again, one of those things which is perhaps going to offer a unique opportunity to you and might also serve as a great idea for a rainy day. Got to come over to the notice board here to have a look at the Tallinn Gate information, because I know some of you probably be thinking, thank God he hasn't given us the potted history of that bloody gate, because he does go on forever and he might get the dates wrong. This is the only preserved 17th century wall gate in the Baltic countries. It was built between 1675 and 1686 into the curtain between the bastions of Mercurius and Luna. You know what? I find it hard to believe it's the only one, but I'm not going to argue. It is presumed that the gate was designed by Erik Dahlberg, one of the best Swedish fortification architects in the 17th century. Until the year 1710, Tallinn Gate was called Carl Gustav, King's Gate. The main facade is turned towards the outside of the former Order town. The road from the town to the raft crossing and further through Old Parnu to Tallinn passed through this wall gate until the 19th century. Above the gates, you may have noticed, the coat of arms of Parnu. The building is in Baroque style. That's funny, I always think of little cherubs with Baroque style. No little cherubs, mind you. Not a fan of little cherubs, to be truthful. The gate tunnel with a cylinder arch is nearly 5 metres wide and nearly 7 metres high. There are strong wing doors at both ends of the tunnel and a portcullis used to be located in the middle. The gate building includes guarding rooms with eye holes and embrasures, as well as auxiliary rooms. Can't get in there though, can we? Not allowed in there. The structure is built of quarry stone and bricks, while the external facade is made of porous Riga dolomite. Ooh. The building was restored in the late 1970s. Still looks gorgeous today. I think it's had a fresh coat of paint since then, to be truthful. Now then, I did promise you something to do on a rainy day, an almost unique opportunity for an alternative recreational activity. And here it is. You might want to call it Snakesville, or you might just want to call it its real name. The Parnu Mini Zoo. Here are the opening hours. And as you can see, the unique aspect is you can actually die. But you probably won't. No, you can be handling snakes and tarantula spiders to your heart's content and see lizards, as well as numerous other creatures. To be honest, they give me the heebie-jeebies, except for the lizards. I like the lizards. But the snakes and the spiders, I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, so it's not really for me. But I'm sure lots of other people would absolutely love coming here to either avoid the heat of high summer or to get out of the rain or to scare their children to death. Lots of options, you see, lots of purposes for this. Just outside the water gate and the mini zoo is the Parnu Cruises notice board. Looks as though at least one, if not both, of the cruises are available if you feel like taking one for, is that 2 hours for €17? Not really sure, to be honest with you. Maybe, but don't quote me on that. Nice to see that that's operating, it seems, even outside of the summer season. The Jenny Cruise Shop. Second-hand items. Dobro požalovat. Welcome. Velkommen. Tervetuloa. Tervetulemast. Whichever country you're coming from, you're welcome to have a look in the second-hand shop just around the corner from the mini zoo. I kind of like looking at second-hand shops, I don't know about you. Now it's time to head towards the bridge, I think. Or should I point out the Parnu Museum and the concert hall? Maybe I should do that, shouldn't I? Just straight up between the Launa Hostel and the main town bridge, heading towards Tallinn. Right in the middle, on the left-hand side of the road, is the Parnu Library. Very nice little place. Of course, every town's got a library, I hear you saying, but this is a particularly nice one. And you can take out temporary membership and get access to working on actual wired computers. If you need to use that service, perhaps the screen on your phone is cracked, or you prefer using a full monitor size screen for doing whatever you want to do, looking at a whole host of flights or booking.com reservations or whatever your business might be. Just a mention that occurs to me, because I know that some people have found it useful, including me in the past when I haven't been travelling with a laptop. Straight across the road is the Endler Theatre, and also a rather sizable theatre cafe. It looks to be equivalent in size to the theatre. Blimey. If you're a culture vulture, the Endler Theatre might be for you. Taking a slight detour from the road up to the bridge, off to the right we see the Parnu Concert Hall, not to be mixed up with the Endler Theatre. Here is the concert hall, very different, far more modern building, and it faces opposite the Parnu Museum. I have been here in the past when in Launa Hostel, where I happened to be staying at the time, there were various people who were musicians and they were taking part in a I hesitate to use this word. I should have checked it, shouldn't I? The exact meaning of the word symposium. I'm going to call it a symposium, and I could be completely wrong. But please do correct me in the comments. I'm sure you will. Yes, there's a gathering of musicians for a whole week's worth of learning and with interaction of professional pianists and saxophonists, clarinetists, all sorts of musicians from the orchestra. You can take part in daily workshops, I suppose you'd call them, and thoroughly enjoy your time in Parnu doing that rather than hoping for an Indian summer and enjoying yourself getting a late season tan. Lots of other concerts, of course, going on in that concert hall throughout the year. And over here in the museum, might call it the main museum of Parnu. Are we allowed to? I'm not sure. Doesn't look very welcoming, does it? But then again, it is. Well, I'm saying it for the umpteenth time, it's not peak season. All the windows are covered, but maybe it's like that anyway, just to preserve what they've got inside. If they've got some rare paintings, for example, that may fade with the light. Who knows? But it will cost you €10 if you want to go in, see about the last few thousand years of history, Parnu and the surroundings, from the Stone Age to the 20th century. It's all in there waiting for you. But the concession fee would be paying €6, I think, if you're a uni student or a pensioner. If you do happen to be an Erasmus student or you're going to university somewhere on the planet and you happen to have evidence of that, particularly an ISIC card, then that could save you €4 on the entrance fee. So then it feels like a saving. Nice. What's that? The Apollo Cinema? I'm guessing that's called Apollo. Seeing the Olo. Yeah, the cinema. Oh, I'm a genius, aren't I? Now it looks as I've set this up, but there's a cinema in another shopping centre down there and a Selva supermarket. And by any chance, do you remember, we're just looking at the Parnu River boat cruise options, and I found it. This is the place, very close to the bridge to Tallinn, just here. Further down you'll come to a little spot called Sun City, and I've only seen it in pictures because it must be a fairly recent business which has opened up. A riverside cafe bar area, I think, from the pictures I saw of it, and it did look an absolutely lovely place to watch the sun go down. Over here, if you took this bridge, went over, turned left and followed the road, you would come about 30 minutes walk from here, I guess. Maybe not 30 minutes, maybe 20. You would come to the Koidula Museum. Remember that young lady, the poetess, the daughter of Mr. Johan Janssen, the school teacher and journalist. That was their family home, a place where he taught. For some reason, I guess, she surpassed her father in notoriety, or fame I should say, rather than notoriety. And it's called the Koidula Museum after Lydia Koidula rather than the Janssen Museum. But apparently that's a nice place to go into if you want to handle some musical instruments, see some costumes, period costumes from the 19th century, see the interior of the building. Also enjoy very much the unexpectedly large and attractive outdoor space. I think from what I've heard, for people who are interested in that kind of quiet culture museum experience, it's €6 worth spending, or again, 3 for students and €3 for pensioners. If you were to continue another 4 kilometres beyond that, you would then hit a racetrack. It's apparently the finest motor racing track in the Nordics, but who are we to say otherwise? If you either are coming here with your own car, or you would prefer to use the track seriously and try driving a supercar, they do have a Porsche Cabrera and professional driver on hand. You can pay €110 to do 3 laps of the track with either yourself driving the supercar or as the passenger with the professional at the wheel, or for €150 that will get you 5 laps. So it's one of those things you might want to surprise a loved one with, I think. You know, you might say, let's take the kids to Parnu for a beach holiday. It's going to be lovely summer weather. I'm just making this up, of course, you know, this story. And when you actually get here, you might surprise your husband, your wife, your partner by saying, oh, by the way, we're going to be at the beach today, but you're going off this afternoon. There's a surprise. Get the Uber or the taxi to drive him to a location where he thinks he's about to get kidnapped. But it's actually the super racetrack, or supercar racetrack, I should call it. And he'll be in for a surprise. A very expensive surprise, but if your loved one is worth splashing out for an early Christmas present, why not? Just a thought. I'm full of them, you know. Most of them rubbish, but occasionally a good one. Not going up there. Okay, I'll admit it. I was planning to go to the Koidula Museum, not walk the further 4 kilometres to the racetrack, but I was going to the Koidula Museum, but time seems to be against me. Instead, I've just given you the directions to get there under your own steam. I'm now going to go just following the river around a little bit, because there are some more points where you can pick up some cruise boats, and there are other interesting things to see. Well, here's a convenient map. We've already seen it, of course, but here it is again in a different location next to the river and the bridge. Just to clarify what I had mentioned before with the instructions, go across the bridge, go along here, and the road is actually the Janssen Road, the JV Janssen Street, and before it turns sharply left, on the right hand side, there's the Koidula Museum. Then, probably if you've got a bicycle or a car, you follow this road 4 kilometres from this point up this way. On the right hand side, off the map, you will hit the finest racetrack for cars and motorbikes in the Nordics. So you won't get lost. But now what we're going to do, because we're just here, is we're going to negotiate this road carefully and go round here. Oh, WC, always handy. Let's get going. Time stops for no man. And here's that handy WC. The door's open. Lovely. Don't need it, but it's always nice to see, because quite often as tourists, if we're out and about for hours on end and we need to go, we either can't find a WC, or when we do find the building, we find that it's closed. So that's good to see. Thank you, Parnu. Thank you for keeping the doors open. And I see some major riverside work going on here. Therefore, I can't guarantee the accuracy of the next bit of information. But then I can't guarantee anything with what comes out of my mind. Shouldn't have said that. Moving on. Yes, what I was going to say was that in the summertime, this site on t'other side of fence, which is being developed as we speak, has been associated with a travelling fair. If you like amusement parks, it's not heavily advertised around the town at all. You wouldn't know it was here unless you just discovered it. They have a Ferris wheel, dodgems, all the usual types of things, the stalls, the rifle shooting, coconut shy. And it's again one of those little attractions which may seem corny, but if you want to do something a little bit different, or I can't say save money, because of course those rides and everything will cost a bit of money, but it's just there, just to let you know. It's not only about down at the seaside enjoying the beach and all the activities there. There is a little travelling summertime only amusement arcade which hopefully will be able to return next summer, unless, and this is why the hesitancy comes into it, that is no more given all the development that's going on. But if this is all work to do with improving the actual embankment, for example, then maybe that spare land there will get used by the travelling fair. It will be all good. I wonder if you can just pick up the fumes coming out the back of that plane up there. Maybe not. Perhaps a little too far away. Well, I wonder where he was headed. Now we come back towards the little harbour, the mini harbour, the ornate harbour. You can call it however you like. All those terms apply. It's a lovely little place. There's a dog station here where you can put your dog poo. If you could only get the humans to behave as well as the dogs. Take a bag, but all the bags have gone. Okay. Not absolutely kept full of stock, but still, the intention's good. One event which may show up here about every 10 years, maybe a shade less, maybe a shade more, is the International Baltic Region Junior or Youth Sailing Championships. I was here some years ago when that was taking place, and I recall the coach of the Swedish team was staying in the bunk bed next to mine in the dorm, so we had a nice chat. Very pleasant young man. He was in charge of male and female age groups. I can't remember which one exactly, but they sort of varied from something like, I think, 13, 14 up to 17 or 18. And there were various countries represented all around the Baltics. So you would get the youth of Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Germany, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Russia. Have I missed anyone? Sorry if I have. The park was full up with camper vans from the parents who came over, which were interesting. This Valley Park was given over to camping for the parents who were supporting the children and perhaps bringing the children to the sailing event. Others, I guess, sailed with their boats from nearby Latvia, nearby Finland. There was a parade through the centre of the old town with the young people all carrying the flags, and the coaches, of course, as well. you might find a random festival or international event going on like that. Now, let's just draw our attention to the height of the water here. I don't know if you can get a sense of the height at this level. I'm looking down on it, probably not the best angle, but the water was basically 3 meters above what it is at the moment. So there's the possibility for, on some occasions, the water to get well over 2 meters above its present height. There was a major flood about 20 years ago, I seem to recall. I saw an exhibition of the photographs. The debacle after the cellar apartments got flooded in some of the property between here and the beach. If there's a storm, anything is possible, and it's just impossible for us right now to believe, with the water level so low, that it has the potential in extreme exceptional circumstances to go up that much higher. No tsunami, just a bad storm. It's enough to curdle your blood, isn't it? Which way should we walk round? Oh, I know, let's walk round this way. Might be a bit prettier and a little bit more interesting, although that route is fine enough. We'll see that there are some spa hotels along there, which can actually be useful for the ordinary traveller. If you happen to be unwell and you need to see a general practitioner, just an ordinary doctor, about a troublesome throat infection or an aching limb, and if you don't want to go to Parnu hospital, you can pay a minimal fee. I think I went there once because of a lingering problem that wouldn't go away after months. A bad throat I picked up in Czech Republic, in Prague, and that was March, and I was here in something like July, and I just couldn't shake this throat, and it finally got so bad I went to the in-house general doctor at the health spa just on the edge of the park, and even though I wasn't a customer of the hotel, I paid something like €5 for a consultation and got a prescription for antibiotics. It wasn't the right diagnosis, but still, I can't blame the doctor, can I? She was just playing percentages. That's something which doesn't often get covered when people think about travel videos. What do you do about getting to see a doctor? Well, it's pretty easy here in Parnu. And luckily the lady, middle-aged lady, was able to understand my version of English. We didn't exactly resolve the issue, but I was grateful at the time, at least I could get to see a doctor that easily and not have to bother with all this health insurance and all that sort of palaver, you know. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, maybe it's expired, maybe you've got an EHIC card, maybe you're no longer a part of the EHIC, or you were never a part of Europe. €5 cash, job done. But this way, apart from being just a lovely walk, we'll also get to see a venue which gets used for various water-based operations as well as other things. I mentioned before about music festivals, and there's a little amphitheatre here where they have concerts from time to time. And the good thing about Parnu's size, perhaps, is that you're very likely to hear the music of an evening. If you're wondering, oh, what's going on in the town, I would say keep your ear open, keep your window open, sit out on the balcony and focus on where the noise is coming from. You may find something going on you hadn't seen advertised, and you just happen to be in Parnu on the right weekend or on the right day, and you can wander into either a free or pay for a ticket, get access to a music concert. A music celebration, I should have said, shouldn't I? That sounds grander. Parnu, of course, or maybe not, of course, if you've never been to Parnu or never been to Estonia. But Parnu is very famous for its music heritage. Two particular bands I'll just mention, Sybil Vane and also the Boondocks. They're not going to be people you hear on Radio 1 if you're English, or on Triple J if you're Australian, but they deserve to be better known. Here's the amphitheatre I mentioned. As you can see, it can actually be used for various cultural activities. Stage can be put up, dance floor just waiting to be trodden on. All sorts of things can take place down in the amphitheatre. An outdoor theatre recital. Romeo and Juliet. The Merchant of Venice. Why not? Or have I gone barking mad? No, I don't think I have. So I've been distracted and lured back to a lovely walk. And again, I've gone off track. Wasn't planning to go this way. But I think nothing sells Parnu more than its parks. More so than the beach, because for me the parks are even more refreshing and lovely. And you can have a great time listening to a series of fantastic bands here in the amphitheatre or elsewhere around Parnu, or you can enjoy it for an early morning walk or early afternoon walk in our case. And can you just imagine how beautiful this place is when the water's frozen over in winter down there, and there's snow everywhere on the branches of the trees and on the grass. Yes, it's bloody cold, of course. You would mention that, wouldn't you? Did you have to? You couldn't help yourself, I know. But if you're going to be here in the winter, it makes sense you're going to have the appropriate clothes, unless you've, I don't know, got on the wrong plane and landed on the wrong side of Europe. And if you happen to have just jetted in from the Caribbean and somehow got on the wrong connecting plane in Frankfurt, and you've ended up alighting in Parnu. Parnu does have an airport, I believe, or Tallinn, and you're freezing to death. Or perhaps you're a tourist or businessman or woman from India, for example, and you come from plus 30, plus 40 degrees to minus 10, minus 20 suddenly, and you've never experienced this kind of thing before, you just hadn't realised how cold it could be, then there are those second-hand shops where you can grab yourself plenty of extra clothing. Humana is the name to look out for in particular. And we have a man of silver. His name, Olev Sinema, a Parnu city architect from the second quarter of the 20th century. Architects and functionalists. I'm not a big fan of that kind of architecture. It came on the heels of the far more attractive Art Nouveau architecture, Jugendstil, if you prefer, which was delightful. And it was around the same time as the Art Deco architecture style, which for me is far more pleasing. But we're all different, aren't we? If that's a man whose name rings a bell, Olev Sinema, you might be absolutely delighted because apparently he was internationally known. We're now heading back to the Tallinn Gate, or the Water Gate as I've referred to it as well. And underneath us are some of those secret rooms which we can't get access to. Never mind. That was never the plan. We're going to come round here. I've just remembered I saw a firework display here as well once, which was fabulous. Just came back to my mind. Oh my God, I don't remember this slope. I've come the wrong way, stupid man.